My first guests this morning are Ronan and Mark Whitney from Pillar Healthcare, which recently launched a new fertility supplement for both men and women, called pre-Conceive. Matt, we'll discuss the supplement in more detail later, but firstly provide us with some information on your own background.
For myself, I've been running Evolve Health Store with my wife Nuala now for about 20 years. We've celebrated our anniversary this year of that. I myself have been a farmer traditionally, would have been a vegetarian since I was a kid. I've developed an interest in martial arts, so I was always a little bit on the alternative side anyway. Then when my wife Nuala began working in a health store, and then we ended up owning it the following year, I quickly found that I was very interested in what was going on in there, and I made the transition then over a couple of years into coming fully on board with her in running the store, and that of course brings you into contact with people, advising them on their health and all of that, and I was always fascinated by that.
And over the years, have you studied healthcare in detail?
Well, what I've done is I've completed a diploma and certificate in health food retailing. That would give you a very good grounding on all of the general areas that are involved in a health food store, and that would be starting with things as simple as aromatherapy and all the ways up then to using nutritional supplements to improve health.
Mark, over to yourself now next. Where's the connection between yourself and Matt? How far back does that go?
It actually goes back probably before I was born. Matt's actually my uncle. Nuala, Matt's wife, would be my father's sister. So I suppose obviously would have known Matt all my life, and I was actually lucky enough to work with Matt before Pillar Healthcare 9-10 years ago now at this stage as well. I took a summer job in Evolve when I was in college. Then when I left college, I was given a full-time position with Evolve. Kind of worked there for a number of years while getting my nutritional therapy qualification, and was very lucky to be able to be assistant manager to Matt for a number of those years as well.
Now you went on afterwards then and worked in other food supplement stores across the country. Tell us a little bit about the experience you garnered there.
In most cases, it's led us on to giving us a great grounding in terms of the other side of the industry. Being in retail, you will pick up an awful lot. You get to handle somewhere in around the region of 5,000 to 10,000 products, new products, the cutting edge side of the industry. But going into a sales representative for probably the second largest or third largest wholesaler in the country at the time gave me a very big understanding of the other side of the business, the commercial angle of the business as well, in terms of trying to fight for your space in a retail unit in a health store or a pharmacy. Then I was lucky enough to go to become a territory brand manager for a UK-based supplement company, myself just covering the entire country in Ireland. Again, another great experience, and kind of set us up nicely for starting to develop Pillar Healthcare. So
two very established backgrounds and careers in the health food store area. Tell me about where the idea came from for Pillar Healthcare first, Mark.
After leaving the territory brand manager position, I became a manager in a health store in Blackrock, and I'd spent a couple of years there. I'd never spent too long in any particular job. Always got a little bit of itchy feet once I felt I had spent my couple of years in there. I wanted to start something fresh and new, and I had experience of both sides of the industry. So one day I went down into Evolve on my day off. I had a conversation with Matt over lunch about possibly starting an Irish supplement company, and that was near 3 years ago now at this stage.
So when Mark came to you with that initial idea, a generic idea around supplements, something triggered with you, Matt. Tell us about that.
It did, yeah, because I mean, what I did was I looked at the idea of, okay, is there anything that we can bring fresh to the market as an Irish supplement company? And I thought, no, I didn't think that there was an awful lot of openings. But then the idea wouldn't go away, of course. Was it possible to bring something new to the market? And at the time, I had begun to notice that I had quite a few consultations with people on the subject of fertility. What could they take for it? And I said, yes, okay, you can take A and B and C, and now you have to take this one in the morning, then you have to take this one on an empty stomach, you have to take this one at night time. And it was all very complicated for people, and they were trying to get their head around, okay, all of these tablets that they had never had any history of taking before. So the idea that there had to be a better way that came to my mind, and I said, okay, let's going to have to go back to Mark and have this conversation again, because there is something here that's worthy of investigation, and that's where our heads really got together and started saying, okay, what could we do with fertility? What's possible? What kind of a product would it be? And that's, I think, where the germ of the idea took fire.
How much of a problem is fertility amongst couples out there today?
Yeah, it's a very interesting area, and I think it's only when you start chatting to people about fertility that you realise just how significant of an issue it is. I mean, generally speaking, we could say that for the most part, 1 couple in 4 are struggling with fertility, and that's a fairly broadly accepted figure at this stage, and WHO are quoting that as well.
In relation to the issues surrounding fertility, what are the big problems out there? Is it health? Is it diet? Is it levels of fitness? Or what are the main reasons why couples are struggling with fertility?
Yes, it's interesting. Okay, we have to make a few assumptions there, but I think we can make a fairly accurate assessment if we're saying that the modern lifestyle is a pretty high-pressured one in comparison with, we'll say, what our grandparents would have encountered as a general lifestyle. Everything is happening instantaneously, so really I think we're seeing stress levels are very high with people. Time is scarce. They're working long hours. They're driving to work maybe long distances in some cases. Diet is certainly suffering. You know, the speed and the amount of time for preparation of food is certainly not there that it would have been there before. Now you couple that alongside the research that's telling us that the nutrient levels in our vegetables, even albeit fresh vegetables, is not there as it was, we'll say, before World War II. If we look at the nutrient levels which were measured before World War II, and how much calcium is in your carrot, how much zinc is in your potato, you're seeing that the levels were, we'll say, X. You measure them today and you're seeing drops of 30 and 40 and 50 and 60% in nutrient values in our vegetables. Now, we can't pull them out of the fresh air. They have to be coming from somewhere, and if we're not able to get them from our fresh vegetables, and you know, fresh vegetables are getting scarcer and scarcer, shall we say, well then they're not being had, and so there's a certain amount of difficulty that's there with all the best will in the world in the modern diet, and so we're saying that's certainly significant. We're not saying that infertility is entirely nutritional, but certainly we have experts, to quote, who will say that everything can be helped by improving nutrition substantially. So you can substantially make an impact on the situation by making a big difference to the nutrition, yeah.
So Mark, you initially in 2011 went to Matt with an idea to develop a supplement, not knowing exactly the area that you were going to develop a supplement in. Matt came back to you with the idea to look at maybe an opportunity in relation to fertility supplements. What was your next step at that stage?
I suppose in many cases it was to start opening our eyes to see, is there a significant body of research in the across the world, especially independent research, that is not going to be have any biased opinion. So once we started off that process, we kind of highlighted the 7, 8, 9 ingredients that we thought were going to be the most beneficial to a consumer looking at it. As we started to dig into medical research into various nutrients, we just started to open a door that we couldn't really close. If you take one ingredient, for example, arginine, a big heavy hitter in our particular formula, there are over 10,000 medical citations on that nutrient alone. There are 31 nutrients in pre-Conceive, and that will give you the extent of just one nutrient. If you look at the research that we kind of extracted, it was coming from independent institutions, a lot of it coming from Canada and America, who'd be the leading lights in terms of nutritional based research, and that is the same for pre-Conceive. We reference over 700 clinical studies, all showing a positive impact on both male and female fertility. And I suppose the big thing that we really always try and get across is that yes, you can use a certain amount of arginine in a particular product, but as long as you're not hitting the therapeutic threshold, that's where you're going to start seeing the real impact of nutrition and therapeutic nutrition. So with that level of research, we approached Dr. David Smallbone, Mr. Declan Keane, who would be a senior embryologist out of Repromed Fertility Clinic, and we were actually able to show them the merits of nutritional research for both of them to come on board as independent advisors and independent endorsers of pre-Conceive.
Mark, what financing options did you consider and utilise to bring this product to market?
Thankfully we were approved and we were able to do the feasibility study in Ireland to see if there would be a market for this type of product, and also to kind of help us establish and ensure that the research we had conducted could also be independently validated as well. So we were lucky to go to Wexford Local Development. They commissioned us for a feasibility study which was done with a company in Shannon. We got very positive results back from the study, and that kind of led us into putting in an application into the Wexford County Enterprise Board for a business priming grant. So by taking the priming grant on board, not only are you getting financial assistance, but you're also getting the wealth of knowledge that the County Enterprise Board can offer any startup. So we'd fully recommend anybody going in to at least have the conversation if they have an idea. There was also a significant portion of self-financing going into the project to get Pillar Healthcare up and running.
What state approvals did you need before bringing this product to market?
When looking at food supplements, which pre-Conceive would fall into the category of, we went to the governing body of food supplements, the Food Safety Authority of Ireland. The Food Safety Authority of Ireland work very closely with the Irish Medicines Board. We followed their protocols, we followed their checklist to make sure that all of the ingredients going into pre-Conceive at the doses were acceptable. They were already known to the marketplace as well, so we weren't reinventing something new. And we worked quite closely with the FSAI to make sure that we were following not only Irish food law, Irish supplement law, also the European Food Safety Authority has their own particular set of laws to be followed, and we worked very hard and very diligently to make sure that we followed those to the letter.
So once the feasibility study was concluded, it, I suppose, concreted the fact that there was an opportunity in the fertility supplement market. You went and you got the relevant approvals from the Food Safety Authority of Ireland. You were then moving on to the manufacturing stage. Talk to us about that.
Thankfully in Ireland, food and food manufacturing is a very high priority. We found a brilliant plant based in County Louth who were able to handle and manufacture this type of product. They were able to have the competence, the expertise in supplement manufacturing and do a very, very good job. We use this company to contract manufacture our particular formula. Then we use a company in Dublin who assemble all of the components of the product and make it market ready.
So once the product was market ready, did you look at then appointing a distributor?
We did. There's only so much that two men can do, especially when it comes to sales, travelling, training, and not to mention the other side of the business in terms of PR, marketing and the financial aspect. So we knew well enough that we would have to get some sales assistants on board with us. We were in a very lucky position that we had Matt's experience of 20 years of retailing, so we had a very good opinion, very good knowledge base of who the savvy distributors were, who were going to be able to do a good job for this type of product, who had the sales experience but also the competency to deal with a much more therapeutic that's on the market. We partner with a brilliant company in Galway and also a company in Dublin to look after the sales, the repping of the product and getting the product on stores around the country.
And just in relation to PR and marketing, I'm wondering, Matt, from your experience over the years, you know, in terms of the balance between males and females in relation to fertility related issues, where does that balance lie?
Well, actually, it's very equally distributed between both male and female. We're seeing largely something in the region of 30% on the male side, 30% on the female side, and the remainder being what's termed as being unexplained infertility. So our product is directed towards both parties, can be taken by both parties, and that's one of the unique factors that our product has.
Yeah, there is much talk of a biological clock ticking out there, you know, and people often make reference to the fact that, look, if it's the female, it's somewhere in their 30s, where males can go on and reproduce up until 70 or 75 years of age. What truth is there behind those myths?
there's a certain amount of there's a good degree of truth in the fact that there's a severe drop off in normal reproductive ability for the female after mid-30s. Certainly, that's a medical fact. However, what we are seeing is that it's much less clear cut than people think, and that people in their early 30s and late 20s are experiencing problems with fertility at this stage. Our own research into the science is showing us that it's not as much related to actual age as it is to the conditions that are pertaining in the body. Therefore, we wouldn't be too pessimistic about the age factor itself, so much as we've got to get the nutrients right, we've got to get the lifestyle right, and all of the other pieces, and that we think is where the real game is being played in the body, not just by the biological clock.
I'm just wondering, guys, have you engaged in any clinical trials in relation to this product to date?
In our particular instance, we really wanted to show the therapeutic value of pre-Conceive, so we're actually undertaking what's considered to be a European first in terms of clinical research. We're putting pre-Conceive to the sword and examining its impact on all parameters of known fertility causes. And as Matt already mentioned, we're examining the area of unexplained infertility as well, the 5-6 hypotheses linked to the area. So this is going to be a first for Europe. A product has not been tested on male and female fertility. It's being done by an Irish fertility clinic, Repromed Ireland, under the guidance of Mr. Declan Keane. So it's going to test all known parameters. It's underway at the moment. We're still actively recruiting for some people as well, but it's looking like it's going to be a very interesting study which has garnered a lot of academic attention as well.
Well, that'll be certainly something to look out for in the future. Now, the product itself was launched in January last. How's the product doing sales-wise, and in how many outlets can the product be found already?
To date, it's exceeded our expectations so far. We've already had to go and run our second batch of pre-Conceive, which would be a couple of weeks or months in advance of what we had targeted. We've been able to get it into a significant number of health food stores and pharmacies across the country, including the likes of your local pharmacy up and including some of the larger change of health food stores and pharmacies across the country.
And what are the future plans in terms of growing this product across Ireland, firstly, and then international plans, secondly?
I suppose the temptation for most companies is always to look across the water as quickly as they can. I suppose at the moment we have a very big audience for fertility-based supplementation in this country. Some of the statistics are frightening, that if you take in 2011, 3,000 children were born through IVF in this country. €175 million were spent on IVF in this country alone, which doesn't include the other 6 forms of assisted reproduction. So there's a pretty big demand from the marketplace for such a product. So we're going to focus on the Irish market over the next year, 2 years. And if we can start examining the international potential of this product, whether it's through looking at the likes of web activity or going into bricks and mortar buildings in the UK, hopefully within the next 18 months to 2 years.
Thank you for joining me on the show this morning, and I wish you every success with developing pre-Conceive.